Hey guys, let's get more news about Steelers, but first, don't forget to subscribe and leave your like. AFC North Power Rankings. Steelers take control after Ravens lose in Week 8. Last week's AFC North Power Rankings saw Cleveland lose ground while the Bengals, Ravens, and Steelers stood theirs. This week wasn't the same. One team is on much shakier ground than a week ago. Another has a new life. And there is a new leader in the clubhouse. Now that Week 8 is in the books, here is how divisional foes measure up to each other in this week's updated AFC North Power Rankings. 4. Cleveland Browns, 2-6. The talk around Cleveland last week was not Deshaun Watson's injury. The scuttlebutt revolved around how Browns fans reacted to it. The conversation shifted to what happened on the field this week. The Browns defeated the Ravens 29-24, helping their divisional brethren by ending Baltimore's winning streak. Thanks, Cleveland. The Browns' defense held the Ravens to their lowest scoring output since Week 1. Superstar linebacker Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah led the team, recording 3 tackles for loss, a sack, and 7 total tackles. Jameis Winston quarterbacked Cleveland with a good performance, throwing for over 300 yards and 3 touchdowns. He also got help from a couple of dropped interceptions on Baltimore's part, but he did enough to outduel reigning league MVP Lamar Jackson. Despite the win, the Browns still have, by far, the worst point differential in the AFC North at -48. They are also bringing up the rear in points scored. Scoring points will be challenging next week when the Browns take on the league's best scoring defense in the Chargers. But Cleveland has newfound hope with Jameis Winston at the helm of an offense capable of outscoring the high-flying Ravens. 3. Cincinnati Bengals, 3-5. The Bengals failed to gain ground on the Steelers and Ravens again. Only this time, it was not due to the Ravens and Steelers winning like last week. This time, the Bengals failed to capitalize on the opportunity to make up ground by getting boat raced along the Ohio River by the Eagles. The Bengals lost to Philadelphia 37-17 on Sunday. Their season is now in dire straits. They are 2 back of the Ravens and 3 behind the Steelers. For all the turbulence surrounding the Browns, the Bengals are only 1 game ahead of Cleveland in the standings. The Bengals' destiny is no longer in their hands as they need immense help from the likes of the Broncos, Chargers, and Eagles over the next few weeks to make up ground that becomes less sturdy with every passing week. Next week, the Bengals face the Raiders, a game they should win. Their next 4 games are against the Ravens, Chargers, Steelers, and Cowboys. It's tough to imagine the Bengals being betting favorites in any of those matchups. 2. Baltimore Ravens, 5-3. In perhaps the most surprising outcome of the weekend, Baltimore lost to the Browns. The Ravens had the second longest winning streak in the NFL, behind the undefeated Kansas City Chiefs. The Ravens had their chances to win the game, but they let opportunities to put the game away literally slip through their hands. The missed opportunities led to the Browns scoring 29, the 3rd most points given up by Baltimore's defense this season. Under normal circumstances, that is not overly important. However, the Browns failed to produce more than 18 points all season before their 29-point proverbial avalanche against the Ravens. Next week, the Ravens take on the Denver Broncos in what should be a tough matchup for Baltimore. 1. Pittsburgh Steelers, 6-2. The Steelers chopped down the New York Giants on Monday Night Football, 26-18. With that result, Baltimore leapfrogs the Ravens for first place in this week's power rankings. They reclaim the top spot after relinquishing it after Week 3. The adage of if you have 2 quarterbacks, you don't have any is apparently lost on the Steelers. While they think Russell Wilson gives them the best chance at continued success, they went 4-2 with Justin Fields, who many argued should remain the starter even once Wilson was healthy enough to play. The Steelers are 6-2 and in first place in the AFC North. They lead the division with a plus 68-point differential. That is the 4th best in the league. Pittsburgh Steelers expect 3 players back after bye week, including 2 rising stars. The Pittsburgh Steelers expect outside linebacker Nick Herbig, center Zach Frazier, and running back Cordarrelle Patterson back from injuries for their Week 10 game against the Washington Commanders, sources tell Penn Live. Frazier is out of a boot and has started to rehab his way back from his ankle injury suffered against the Las Vegas Raiders. Luckily for Frazier, the rod in his leg from a broken bone in his leg a year ago helped save him from serious injury. Instead, he will only miss 2 games. Herbig has missed the last 3 games after suffering a grade 2 hamstring strain against the Dallas Cowboys. However, the release of Ade Ogundeji signals that the Steelers expect Herbig back shortly. He is further along in his rehab than anticipated at this point and has had no setbacks in his recovery from the injury. Patterson has missed the last 4 games with a high ankle sprain suffered against the Indianapolis Colts. He practiced in a limited fashion last week, but will ramp up to full participation after the bye week. His return will signal a full backfield for the Steelers to utilize for the first time since Week 3. Pittsburgh also expects offensive tackle Dylan Cook and linebacker Tyler Matakevich back. They will likely open the 21-day window for cornerback Corey Trice to return, and there is optimism that he could return for the Week 10 game as well. Steelers workout former CFL star. The Steelers ended a busy day of roster moves with a workout on Tuesday, with wide receiver Diontae Spencer trying out for Pittsburgh per NFL insider Aaron Wilson. Spencer might be a familiar name to some Steelers fans. He spent time with Pittsburgh in 2019, showcasing his speed with some preseason highlights, although he failed to make the final roster. Spencer's football career actually began in 2014 when he signed with the then St. Louis Rams as an undrafted free agent out of McNeese State after participating in the Chicago Bears minicamp. He was waived by the Rams in July, and went on to spend the 2016, 2017, and 2018 seasons in the CFL. Spencer was a star in the CFL, logging 2,635 receiving yards, 16 receiving touchdowns, and 2 kickoff return touchdowns over that span. Spencer tried the NFL again in 2019. Despite not hanging on with the Steelers, the speedy, 5 feet 8 inches, 170-pound receiver was picked up by the Denver Broncos. From 2019 to 21 in Denver, Spencer logged 10 catches for 54 yards, also serving as the team's punt and kickoff returner. He averaged 9.8 yards per punt return and 21.4 yards per kickoff return. Spencer recorded an 83-yard punt return for a touchdown in December of 2020, his only NFL score, winning AFC Special Teams Player of the Week. Since his stint in Denver, Spencer has spent time with the New York Jets, not appearing in a regular season game. Calvin Austin III's role as punt returner is safer than ever following a punt return touchdown on Monday, but the Steelers are still keeping an eye on available playmakers with the Spencer workout. The veteran receiver/return man is on the wrong side of 30, but he could still have some gas left in the tank. And you fan? What do you think of the situation of Diontae Spencer? Leave your opinion in the comments.